Hello everyone, and welcome back to another chess episode in Daphne's Club. Today we dive into the legendary Ruy Lopez through the eyes of the master. This is episode 1 of the series Kasparov's Ruy Lopez. Let's get started. Today, I share with you the outstanding game between Garry Kasparov and Abram Roizman in Minsk in 1978. For those who don't know the Ruy Lopez opening, it starts with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop g5. In this game, Roizman chose to play knight d4, the bird variation. It's a direct move that threatens both the knight and the bishop, offering an exchange of minor pieces. The point is that black takes back with the pawn, however his pawn structure becomes less flexible. White castles early. Black moves the bishop to c5, supporting the isolated pawn. White responds with d3, which blockades the pawn on d4. Black plays c6, kicking the bishop away. Garry Kasparov moved his bishop to c4, inaccuracy. In fact, the best move was a4. Roizman played d6, interesting. The best move was the straightforward d5. Kasparov plays f4, a characteristic move of his attacking style. Knight f6 by black is a developing move that doesn't promise anything. Kasparov pushes his pawn to e5, a move that opens the position and that initiates a kingside attack. If black takes, that's a mistake. Best move here was knight d5, centering the knight while blocking white's initiative. In this position, Kasparov sacrificed his bishop by capturing f7. Now, the black king can no longer castle, and he becomes more vulnerable. Roizman takes the bishop. The point for white is that if black recaptures, pawn captures e5, pinning the knight to the king. Thus, white wins black a minor piece. That's the moment where black decides to move the queen to the center. White takes the knight. Black recaptures with the pawn to cover the vulnerable king. In this position, white has a slight advantage. However, black can exploit the open g-file, which can be really dangerous. Kasparov moves his knight to d2, a developing move that can be also used as coverage. Rook g8 is a direct move that threatens checkmate in one move. Kasparov covers with an elegant style as he strikes into the attack simultaneously. Knight e4 is a beautiful move that impels black to retreat the bishop, and that prepares a strong initiative. Kasparov develops his dark square bishop to f4. Now the bishop can be used either to join the attack or to cover the king. Roizman moves the rook to g6, a tricky move that prepares a strong kingside attack. Queen e2 holds the second rank. The light square bishop threatens the queen and wins a tempo. Kasparov moves the queen to f2, building a strong battery and leaving space for the other rook to join the attack. Roizman puts both of them rooks in the g-file and makes the position wild. Kasparov ignores the danger and moves the rook from a1 to e1 to attack, and shows us that the best defense is a good offense. Pawn to h5, a decisive move that reinforces the attack, also preparing an h3 pawn push. In this tough position, Kasparov finds a great tactic that wins the game. Bishop to g5. The pawn is pinned, so only the rook can take, which will be a blunder. Roizman moves his queen to d8, adding a defender to f6. Kasparov moves his queen to f4, leaving some space for his pieces to keep attacking. Black plays bishop e6 prophylaxis. This creates a structure of pieces that cover the king, in other words, a shield. Kasparov blockades the h-pawn, and Roizman puts pressure to the perfectly centered knight. Kasparov takes a great risk. He pushes his pawn to g4, overextending the entire kingside, but hoping to trap the black rook. Instead of capturing the pawn, Roizman moves the king to safety. White takes on h5, and now the rook is trapped. In response, black takes the bishop. Kasparov doesn't take the rook immediately. He gives a check with the queen. The black king is in danger. He escapes to h6. Eventually, white wins a rook. The position has already become complex. Roizman takes on h4 to simplify the position and to close the h-file. Kasparov brings his rook to f5, and now the position is already lost. King captures g6. Finally, Kasparov finds the brilliant move, king to h2. Now the black king is hanging in a completely open position, and white has mate in 9. Black resigns. If you like this game, you can check my lead chess study called Kasparov's Ruy Lopez, where you can find useful comments, interactive lessons with notations, and other brilliant games of Garry Kasparov playing this opening, which will be the subject of future videos. Anyway, if you have any questions, you can leave them either in the comments or in the lead chess study. And don't forget to subscribe to support the chess community.